The purpose of this video is to give you a demonstration, a quick tour of the XpertMart Clients Catalog or Customers Catalog. We can open this by going to the Catalogs menu off the main menu. Under there we have an option that's Clients, and we see that it opens up actually a sub-menu, and there's quite a few catalogs that have to do with clients. We're going to open just the main Clients menu. Some of these other catalogs we will see as we work our way through the Clients catalog. So we open the Clients menu, catalog, and once it's open, I'm going to go ahead and maximize it just so everything's spread out here. And we'll go down through these fields. You can see here that XpertMart has many fields in the Clients catalog. That's wonderful and important, because if you ever need one of those fields, we already have it in there. Please be advised that a field that you need in some other system and is not there, you're probably not going to get it. So you're limited to what they have. We have gone the other way, and there's many fields, probably more than anyone would use. But if you ever need one of these particular fields, they're there and ready to use. The good news is none of those fields are required. You don't have to fill out all this information for any client. It's there if you need it, and you can choose what information is important for you. So basically, the demo, I'm not going to try and explain how, but all these buttons up here, the standard functionality that we have for catalogs, that is covered in other videos and in our documentation. So really just going to look at what fields we have here and the functionality of some of those fields. Start over here at the top left, and we see a client number. XpertMart is automatically going to add a unique serial number to each client or customer that is added to the client's catalog. Our numbering scheme for clients is that any client added at the main office would begin with 999 million. That is just to leave all the other numbers for stores. So the first customer added at the main office would be 999,000,001, and 999,000,002 would be the second one, and so forth. After that, each store is going to begin its numbering at the store number multiplied by this internal store number that XpertMart has multiplied by 10 million. So for example, here on the screen we can see this client number is 10,000,010. That means it was store 1 that added this client, and it's the 10th sequential client that was added from store 1. Moving along here, let me just go down, and sometimes I'm going to go down, sometimes I'll go left or right, depending on what is most logical. A client, you may be coming from some other point of sale system, or have some other system aside from the point of sale system that you deal with clients on. So we have the opportunity, or the possibility here in this field, to add an account number. That could be your account's receivable number, again, whatever number of the account that they have. If you have an what do you call it, in-store credit card number, whatever, but that's the account number. That is totally assignable by the user. So the top number, the client number, XpertMart automatically assigns. The account number is a number that you could import from your previous client system, or again, a number from any other system that you're related to. Now to the right of that, we have on the top login, and on the bottom password. And this is used for web store usage. The client, we may want to have the client be able to log in and on the web store and update his information or place orders or whatever. And so this is where that information will be kept. As you can see, the password will be kept encrypted, and we could not ever see that actual password here. You would type it in normal, and then once it's saved, it would be encrypted. After that, there's a company name. If the customers are related to a company, we could put here Campbell's Soup, for example. Then we could add a company name. Again, that's optional. Then, and I'm just going to click the save button as I go along, so that those changes, or any changes I make are saved as I go along. I could wait to the end, but I'm probably just out of, my habit is to generally, whenever I change something, make a save right away. So company name is optional, but if there's a company, as you see, all these fields are generally 80 characters long, so there's plenty of room to put in whatever the company name is. After that, we have the person's name and their last name separated, so you know which is last name and which is first name. That allows you to order by just last name, separate first name. A lot of flexibility there. And then we have up to 3 lines of addresses. Again, up to 80 characters long each. Again, you may not ever use more than 1 or 2, but if you need more, they're there. up to 3 lines of addresses. Then you're going to be able to put in the customer's city and the customer's state, and along with a field for the postal code or zip code, depending what country you're in, and then also the country. That's pretty straightforward on address information. I might say that in another configuration, XpertMart would allow you to do countries based on a menu, and then within that menu you would have state menus. So instead of it being freehand, people might write, for example here, TX for Texas, but they could also write Texas, they could also write capital Texas, without even getting into the misspellings. So sometimes you'd rather use a menu for states. That's also valid depending on what you're more comfortable with. You can reconfigure XpertMart and it would use the menu, and then you would just have to enter the states in your state's catalog, enter the countries in your country's catalog. Again, if you're interested in that, we would be glad to demonstrate that for you separately. Here we have another field here, in case we've missed any, that's simply called Other. Some other field that you feel I need to have, whatever it is that's not one of these already fields here, then you can put that in the Other section, and you just determine what you want to have as Other there. Then we can have a fax number, a fax telephone number. Sometimes it seems like that might be going out of style, but it's still there if you need to use it. And then we have up to 3 phone numbers. And in this case, we've designated, by the way, these texts are configurable. What you want to call each field can be configured elsewhere in the in XpertMart, so that the names might change. But for just in the default configuration, 3 phone numbers, thinking one of them might be the home, one of them might be the office, and one of them might be a cell phone. For each one of those phone numbers, we have separate the area code and separate extensions in case there was an extension. And again, that would allow you, when you're reporting or sorting or whatever, to be able to report by area code that information there. And again, you don't need all 3 phone numbers. If you're only dealing in one town, all within one area code, you don't need to bother capturing the area code. You could just put the phone numbers. And again, all these fields are optional, so you might just want to put Beth Johnson and have the phone number, and that's all you want to save. If that's all you want to save, that's fine. All this information takes up very little space in a database. With the gigabytes of hard disk storage that we have nowadays, there's really no reason not to have all this ready to put in as much information as you want to. Then we have emails. We have email 1, and we have actually room for a second email. People nowadays, it's not uncommon to have a primary and a secondary email, a work email or a personal email. So that's the basic information about the customer, and I think covers quite a bit. Then again, related to maybe a web store, we have the possibility of saying this is really a shipping address or shipping customer. We have a customer on our website. Maybe we're selling children's clothing, and the person that comes in is the mother or the grandmother or the aunt, and their billing address is one thing, and they want to ship to different people. So if this is a shipping address, then we could say who is the bill to client, and we would then have that relationship made of who is the client. So let's say Fernandez Maria is actually the person that has bought for Beth Johnson, and that would show that relationship. And again, working with a web store, that relationship would be kept automatically. You can have as many shipping clients as you want assigned to one bill client. So that is the relationship. One bill client can have many shipping clients. And again, here we would designate this is a shipping client, and then who is the billing client, who has had a ship to this address. And again, this is the nice thing about the scheme, is that they are in a regular customer record. So if later on they come and make their own purchases, then this other information at the bottom does not stop them from purchasing, does not stop us from having them in our database. It just probably, we could see the relationship that originally they were just someone else bought for them, and now they're buying for themselves. After that, we can put the person's tax number in here. If you're dealing with corporate customers in a company, then maybe you want their sales tax number on file. You might deal, depending again, XpertMart is multi-country, so maybe this person is supposed to be tax exempt by checking that box. no tax would be applied to their sales. We have a field to put in the birth date of the customer. I'm not sure all customers want to give you their age, but maybe you could pick a standard year if you wanted to, and make sure that you have at least the date and month. Most customers would like to have a special promotion on their birthday or a card sent out just recognizing their birthday. So however you handle that, it's a whole date, but you could just know for your store, I'm only keeping track really of month and day, or I am keeping track of birth year. That's going to depend on the relationship you have with your clients. But let's say that we got to go down to some other year here, and again the calendar feature is explained elsewhere, and we can put in there the birth date for this customer. XpertMart is going to automatically fill in this next field, which is the last sale date. What is the last date that they bought something? It doesn't tell us how much it was they bought or whatever, but they had some purchase at least, and this would be the last date that they have bought something. Moving on down, we have a checkbox that could say we can take checks from this per client, yes or no, depending on that check mark. And then we can have this person assigned as a frequent buyer or not, and just by checking this checkbox. After that, we get into some accounting issues that we have here. The first one being that XpertMart actually does have included a accounts receivable module, or maybe you're want to import the data, interface with some other accounts receivable module. But we can put in here what is their credit limit if we're going to sell on credit, and what is their balance. Again, well, we put in the credit limit can be is keyed in only at the main office. The person that has the permission to key in the credit limit. That usually cannot be done right at the store in a multi-store situation. And then the balance, XpertMart will keep track of that balance. Every time they buy something on credit, it will add to the balance, and XpertMart will actually see when the balance gets to be more than the credit limit, or they want to make a purchase that would take the balance over the credit limit, then that would be denied in credit. Aside from that, we can also at the main office decide, the person that has that authority, how many days of credit we give them. That's more has to do with the interface with the accounts receivable system, and then how many days they are behind on their payments. A simple measure of if they're current or not. So this would basically have to do with a credit system, these 4 fields. After that, we have a special order balance. Again, this is not an editable field. XpertMart, if they make a special order and leave some money on deposit for the special order, would show on their customer record. In other words, XpertMart would not let you take special order advances or deposits unless you specify which customer. And when you specify which customer, then that money that they leave on a special order will get left right here in this balance. Will be made by XpertMart. Then the same situation with the layaway. Well, it would be put there in the deposit, and then when they pay out the special order, obviously be deducted from there, and ideally the special order balance would go back to 0. The same thing for layaways. If they make a layaway, XpertMart has a complete layaway system included. Then any money deposited on layaways would be shown here as a positive balance, automatically put there by XpertMart. And once they pay out their layaway, then that balance would be, again, if all goes well, taken back to 0. Return credit is a special balance. That is if your store policy is no cash refunds or no money refunds, or for whatever reason the customer returns something and doesn't want money back but would like to have the ability to use the amount, the value of the return towards some other purchase, that would be called a return credit. Again, XpertMart would not let you issue a return credit unless you specify the customer, and once you specify the customer, it will have that balance put right there. Then we have a notes section right here. If I'm not mistaken, this is up to 512 characters, and it's freelance. You can write here whatever you want to. This customer likes our new lines, for example. Whatever you want to write, anything about that customer, it's just notes on that field about that customer. So with that right there, we've covered, and again, let me just emphasize, any of those fields are all there ready to use, but if you don't want to use any of them, you just do not use them. There's no problem. There's no requirement to fill all of them. So we'll move over to the right side here, and this is getting more into what we call the CRM, the Customer Relationship Management. We have, and I had mentioned other catalogs. So really, there's right here we have 5 different classifications, relationships that we can say about this client. Real quick, well, let me go through the first one, then we'll go faster down the other one. The first one is called client's type. What type of client is it? And that is pretty much freelance, what you want to fill in there. In this case, we have taken it and used it for age range. In other words, again, maybe not all customers want to give us their date, but we could have our salespeople, when they're selling something, take an educated guess about the age of the customer that they have added to the client's catalog, and say, I think they were somewhere like this between 18 and 22. But again, what is the most important type characteristic that you want about your clients? And really the possibilities are limitless. This is in a separate catalog which you will populate. We have here to the right what we call a zoom button in XpertMart. If I click on that, it actually opens the catalog, and in this case it's called the client's type catalog. So the menu is going to be the records that you add in this catalog. That's why it's totally free, whatever you want to do for it. If you were selling nutrition products, maybe you want to put overweight, sporty, muscular, again, whatever you want to put, just it's a type of client. Whatever type that you want to take into account for that customer. After that, you go to client's region. Why a client's region? Well, you have over here city and state and specific addresses, but usually for marketing purposes or just statistics, analysis of your sales, you might want to look at regions. For example, you might be in a metropolitan area where there's several cities, official names of cities and states, which are really one big city or one big metropolitan area. So same thing here, freelance, there's a catalog where you're going to add client regions and call them whatever you want to. Here we have Asia, British Columbia, Europe, USA. I'm not sure that makes all that much sense, but again, this is just sample data. You're going to fill that in whatever you want to the regions. If you're an international company, or all over the United States, you might say Eastern United States, Western, Midwest, etc. You decide what regions are important to you. Then moving right along, the same thing we have here is the category of clients. How would you like to categorize your clients? And that could be in this case we used a bronze, gold, platinum, silver system, but how do you categorize it? You decide that you define your catalog of categories, and then each customer is manually assigned what category they are. And then client's origin is kind of track, how did I get in touch with this customer? Where did this customer come from? And freelance, again, I put some just crazy examples here, a metropolitan ad, state fair, word of mouth, how did that customer come to you? And then the client status, and you can have active, inactive, whatever, again, the statuses that you want to. Each client can be related to a salesperson, again, depending on what type of business you have. Sometimes the relationship between the salesperson and the client is very important in the business, and so you just click here, and these are the the employee numbers off the employees catalog that you could pick which customer is the person in charge of dealing with Beth Johnson. Price list, XpertMart can have several price lists, and so you can say a customer has a special price list here. Suggested retail, wholesale, and again, you're going to define in other areas of XpertMart all the price lists that they have. Then we have discount groups, and that's probably the subject of another additional video. It's in our documentation, but basically if a customer belongs to a discount group, then he's going to have certain discount benefits. So here's where we would assign him. We can go as far as, if you want to, putting in a photo of the customer, and that way you remember well what that customer looked like. Again, it's there if you want to use it. Then really in a CRM or follow-up fashion, here's an important part, although it looks like we're towards the end, but we can keep track of what the last date that we had an action related to this customer. So all this is a date, and then we have a catalog, which is actions, which we could zoom over to here. The same thing. What are the customer actions that I have? They're going to be the things you add in there: invitation to fashion show, mail them a gift, send them a coupon book, send a catalog. We could say send a birthday card. What are the actions you're going to take from the customer? You can actually add those on the fly at the main computer if you want to, at the main office. So we have, what was the last date we took an action, and what action was it that we took? And then what is the date that we're supposed to do a next action with that customer? What is the next time that we should do something with them, and what is it that we should do? So, for example, some manager could be sitting there and saying, you need to call this person, send them a catalog, whatever. Plug that in the system, and it goes out to the stores, and then the employees at the store know that they have that to do via reports. And here we have notes. Over here were general notes about the customer. Over here is what we call action notes, and these action notes could be overwritten and changed as times go by. But you could put, I tried calling, left voicemail. And of course, you could have your own little abbreviations if you wanted to. So basically, that's an overview of the customer or client's catalog. I could add to that we have a whole series of reports. So if we click on the Print Catalog Reports button, we can say all of these different reports that are available about clients. And again, that would probably be not only the subject of one video, but many, many videos. So again, this is an introduction. Hopefully it whets your appetite to know more about XpertMart Clients Catalog. Thank you for taking the time to look at this.